Jared, what can you tell us about changes from the weekend for this week?
Well, Duggan and Brockman are out. We're still obviously finalising things, as we say. But yeah, we'll look to Petruccelli will come into the side. We'll look at that, and Jai Cully, comes into the side as well. But yeah, that's all I can give you at the moment.
Will Jake travel?
Oh, sorry, Jake Waterman. Yeah, no, he'll have a week off. He's been obviously managing an ITB issue, so we think that having a week off is the right thing for him.
So who'll come in for?
We're still working through that, exactly.
So who'll be on the plane? Because the players are at the airport shortly.
Yep.
Who can we expect to see on the plane?
Who do you expect to see on the plane? You'll see the team from last week, and you'll definitely see some familiar faces in Dom Sheed and Archie Reid. They'll be on the plane too.
Will Jack Darling be playing this week?
Will he be playing this week?
Yeah. Is he for the Eagles?
Oh, he's in the squad. He's in the squad.
So Archie Reid's travelling?
Yeah, as a traveller, yep.
So is that for experience, or is he a chance to play?
Yeah, we'll work through that. Yeah, like I said, we're coming off a 6-day break, and we have got some banged up boys. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't play, it's a great experience for him to be a part of the group.
How challenging is it going to be? You go from having to deal with one of the most potent offensive teams in the competition to someone who's going to try and shut you down and tie you up and strangle you, basically.
Yeah. Not to discredit Brisbane's defence too. They play front half football, and St Kilda are a little bit the same. If they get it on their terms in the front half, I think 40% of their scores come from forward half turnovers. So we understand the defensive part of their game. It could be a low scoring game, and for us, it's once again seeing the West Coast identity come through, and we'll sort of chase our story in that game. What I mean by that is, we understand what St Kilda are good at, but we've got to make sure that we play our brand as well, and not to neglect what their strengths are, and that's their team defence, but not to panic on that either.
So, is it a case of you just tweak a few things and try not to change too much? Is that what you do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look, we'll continue to double down on what I think we saw in our game last week for longer periods. While we didn't get the win, we were happy with what we wanted to see. We understand we've got to do it for longer, and that's been the sort of simple message early on in the week in terms of our review, and even today in our presentation on St Kilda, is to make sure we don't lose sight of what we're chasing. And there'll be some subtle tweaks, and that could be through how we sort of position up some players.
Last time you played a big shift in the second half, Windhager went on to Harley Reid. He's not playing. Are you expecting a hard tag on Harley?
Well, you'd think they've probably got something up their sleeve, St Kilda. So what that is, they've got a couple of players. I've seen Steele, their captain, do a run with roll many times. I've seen Hunter Clark do that as well. I think they've got some options. I dare say we've just got to be prepared for that, and we'll try and prepare our players, whether it's Harley, TK, as best as possible.
What are you expecting from their offence? Without King, they're a different look now. They've several options there.
Yeah. Well, predominantly they've been a bit of a short kick, uncontested mark team, which they've shown. Even with King being out, they've still shown that. I think they're second for uncontested marks and short kicks in the competition, but they can go with speed when they get some overlap run. And guys like Wanganeen Miller and Sinclair, Hill back into the side, I would think if he comes back into the side, now they're ball users, they get the ball in their hands, so we've got to make sure that we're fully aware of their line breakers. But I don't think we'll see anything too different. Like, they're pretty mobile up forward. Owens, got memory, so they're pretty versatile.
You said last week you were going to wait for the weekend to be done with the farewell for Simo before you sort of took the reins, I guess, more intimately with the team. What have you worked on this week as your first sort of full week as in charge?
We reviewed the game strongly as to what we were pleased with, but also at the same time, where can we get better? And it's all about the next 6 weeks of us getting better. And that starts with how we present ourselves at the club, and how we hit the shed and work on our craft and double down on our roles, and also how we perform on the track. So the biggest message is to make sure we have a purpose in everything we do to get better. And that's what we're chasing in the next 6 weeks, is to get better. With the 6-day turnaround, there's not a lot you can do on the training track. Today we had a 40-minute session. It was sharp. We felt good, and that's on the back of some guys coming off a 6-day break who've been 18, 19 games in. They train with purpose, and that's the main thing.
What did you do really well last week?
We felt like our contest and pressure was at a level that's a standard that should be every week, and it was a consistent effort across the ground. It just wasn't around stoppage, even though centre bounce was an issue for us in the first half. We were able to sort of shift that in the second half, which is the credit to the players around the ball. But we felt like our pressure across the ground was what we expect of our identity, that we're chasing to be a front half footy team. And I was really happy to see, and we were to see the players going at the game. So early on, I think there was commentary around that we were playing with a little bit more speed and we changed our way. That's been there in small parts of our game throughout the whole year. We just really wanted to encourage our players to express themselves. And there were some vulnerabilities early on with that. Because our defence and our pressure and our contest work was at the level, we didn't get hurt. That's probably what we have been in previous games throughout the year.
You've been around football for a long time. When you see tackles like Charlie's one on Liam and Toby Bedford one on Tim Taranto, is it confusing to you now, as a former player and now a coach, to sort of understand what a legal tackle is, and how do you address that with your players?
Yeah, look, definitely, your technique has to change with the interpretation of the tackle. But I think our players in the AFL are so good at adapting. So the confusion part, I'm not confused as a coach. Obviously, the players have got a split-second decision when they're in that moment to get the right technique, and you sort of got to leave it to the powers that be to make those decisions based on that. But it's just a change in our game. We go from even early on the year where I think the game was allowed to go a little bit more with the holding the ball, and it was allowed to play on, and there was some adjustments that have been made, and now we're seeing the ball up's a lot quicker. It's no different. Our game's always evolving, and this is just one of them.
You tell your players to be wary of taking players to ground to maybe hold them up in the tackle?
No, we don't speak about it. All we do is practice the fundamentals around that tackling. We don't want to, because as I said, you got a split the second decision to make. And all we can do is do our best in training to teach them the craft and the element to that.
Is you say it's evolving, but if the player was allowed to go earlier in the season, you could train for that, and then the next weekend it seems like it changes and the umpires are addressing the game slightly differently. How can you prepare your players for that when you're not entirely sure how it's going to be adjudicated?
When obviously the information is put through, you've got to try and adjust, and there's always going to be some heartburn early on. But I think our players, like I said, they've had to change into the modern game over the last 10, 15 years with rule changes and interpretations, and this is no different.
You spoke last week about wanting to see a bit of effort out on the park and rewarding those players that put in effort. Yeah. What do you want to see out of the group this week?
Did I say effort? I don't know, but we want to be able to. We want to compete, and we want to execute our roles. And nothing changes this week. If you guys go out through injury, and if you guys get an opportunity based on the form they produced in the Waffle on the weekend, and it was pleasing to see that those Waffle players play in a win, which has been scarce over the last couple of years, but. The way they went about it, they deserve their opportunities, and they've been playing good football, but it's just good timing. So we expect them to come in and execute their role, and we expect to be better again this weekend, and we're also chasing consistency in what we do, and we're getting a great opportunity away at Marvel to do that.